Admiral James Walker couldn't stop his jaw from dropping as he entered the enormous chamber. The ceiling vanished into shadows above, and massive pillars of glowing blue stone lined every wall. Everything about this place screamed one message: you are insignificant. Don't forget our mission, Walker whispered to the 5 humans beside him. Our whole planet depends on what happens here. 37 alien races stared down from elevated platforms. Some had clusters of eyes covering their faces. Others shifted colors like chameleons. A few resembled enormous beetles. Every single one watched the humans with expressions that seemed distinctly unwelcoming. The highest throne held High Chancellor Morkai of the Vex. His wrinkled gray flesh spoke of centuries lived, and his elongated fingers drummed an impatient rhythm. The Vex claimed to be the galaxy's eldest civilization, and they acted like they controlled everything. Humans from the planet Earth. Morkai's voice echoed through the vast space. We extend our greeting to the community of civilized worlds. Walker dipped his head respectfully. The Council honors us. We hope to build lasting friendships across the stars. Certainly, certainly. Morkai waved dismissively. We have drafted the conditions for your acceptance. A projection materialized before Walker. His expression darkened as he scanned each paragraph. These weren't partnership terms. They were chains. Earth could claim only 10 star systems. The military must shrink by 80%. Mining income would be taxed at 35%. Human vessels could travel only on approved paths. Council watchers would monitor all technological progress. Walker lifted his gaze. These conditions looked like conquest, not cooperation. Amused sounds rippled through the alien observers. Your civilization is immature and aggressive, declared a crimson-skinned delegate near Morkai. These restrictions protect the peaceful races. Walker straightened his spine. Humanity left its violent era behind. We unified our world and explored space without hostility. After destroying each other for how many millennia, challenged a 4-armed alien, your past overflows with bloodshed. And yours is spotless? Lisa Grant, Earth's lead negotiator, stepped forward. Every civilization has shameful chapters in its history. Morkai's long hand silenced the exchange. This debate wastes time. Our conditions are remarkably generous for such inexperienced travelers. You should appreciate our protection. Walker suppressed his rising temper. Protection against what exactly? Against the terrors lurking in deep space, Morkai replied, his tone suddenly frigid. Dangers beyond your comprehension wait in the darkness. Without our guidance, your species would perish within generations. Walker glanced at his team. They'd anticipated difficult discussions, not ultimatums. We require time to review these conditions, Walker stated. Take 72 hours, Morkai announced. But understand that these terms are essentially final. As the human delegation departed, Walker felt ice creep down his neck. He'd expected tough bargaining. This was something else entirely. The Council wanted subjects, not partners. Back aboard their vessel, the Earth team assembled around a conference table. They're not genuinely negotiating, Grant said, tossing the electronic file aside. These demands would strangle our growth forever. Walker gazed through the window at the colossal station. It dwarfed anything humanity had constructed. A monument to technology centuries beyond Earth's capabilities. We must tread carefully, he said softly, but we must also prepare ourselves. If these are their starting demands, I'm worried about what comes next. He left unsaid what everyone understood. Humanity might have to face the entire galaxy alone. But seeing the resolute expressions around him, Walker knew one truth with certainty. Humans didn't kneel to intimidation, not even from aliens among the stars. The 72 hours disappeared quickly. The human team analyzed every clause, searching for flexibility. They discovered none. Final session begins today, Walker informed his team during preparations. Let's see if reason can reach them. Lisa Grant shook her head grimly. I approached 6 different council members individually. Not one would compromise even slightly. Walker nodded. He'd anticipated this outcome, yet disappointment still stung. The main chamber seemed even more imposing on their return. Walker noticed additional aliens filling the observation galleries. Word had spread, and many wanted to witness the newcomers. High Chancellor Morkai gazed down with amber eyes. Has your world considered our reasonable conditions? Walker moved forward. We have. And we've prepared an alternative proposal. Shocked whispers swept through the chamber. Apparently no junior species had ever dared suggest modifications. Walker's voice rang clear. Earth proposes gradual integration across 50 years. We maintain our military for self-protection. Scientific discoveries are exchanged equally. We contribute 10% tax on new colony yields. Absolute silence followed. Then several aliens began making sounds Walker interpreted as mockery. A towering blue-skinned alien rose. This was the Zell representative, infamous for his cutting remarks. Your race genuinely fails to grasp its position, the Zell sneered. Your backward moral concepts make you believe you deserve equal status. How entertaining. He continued his verbal assault, each sentence more insulting than the last. He labeled humans barely evolved animals and fortunate primitives who stumbled into space travel. Walker listened without interruption. Around him, his team's faces hardened. They'd arrived with optimism, and that optimism was dying with each insult. The Zell was mid-sentence when Walker abruptly stood taller. Something had shifted in his bearing. Enough, he declared, his voice slicing through the Zell's tirade. Silence crashed down again. We came seeking equal respect and fair conditions, Walker stated. You've offered neither. He nodded to his team. Without words, they began gathering their materials and equipment. Council members watched in bewilderment as the humans packed their belongings. What is this? Morkai demanded. Walker looked up. We're departing. Departing? The negotiations are incomplete. Morkai sounded genuinely shocked. No, they're finished, Walker answered. Earth didn't send us to accept surrender. We came to discover friends and allies. Clearly, the Council seeks something different. The human team formed a line behind Walker and began moving toward the exit. The chamber exploded with startled voices. Your civilization cannot endure alone in this galaxy, Morkai called after them, his voice bouncing off the walls. Walker paused at the threshold and turned. Every alien was watching. We've endured alone throughout our entire existence, he said calmly. We'll trust our chances. The doors sealed behind the humans, leaving the Council in turmoil. Aboard their ship, silence hung heavy as they prepared for departure. Grant finally spoke. Was that wise, Admiral? Walking away from the galaxy's most powerful organization? Walker studied the stars through the viewport. They left us no alternative. They weren't seeking allies. They were seeking servants. Captain Miguel Torres entered the bridge. Orders, sir? Walker's expression was grim but determined. Set course for home. Maximum velocity. As their vessel pulled away from the station, Walker contemplated what awaited them. The Council wouldn't forget this insult. Earth needed to prepare. What will we tell the President? Grant asked quietly. Walker faced his team. The truth, that humanity stands isolated against the cosmos, and that we must be ready. The ship entered faster than light travel, leaving the Council station shrinking behind them. None of the humans looked backward. Earth would need to transform rapidly. But if humans excelled at anything, it was adapting when survival demanded it. They'll return within one galactic cycle, High Chancellor Morkai predicted confidently. No civilization endures isolation for long. 2 weeks passed since the humans departed. The Council had resumed normal operations, treating the Earth incident as a minor irritation. The Grand Chamber held fewer attendees today. Only the 12 senior council members gathered, representing the dozen oldest spacefaring cultures. They occupied their elevated seats, discussing the human departure with minimal concern. Perhaps we should dispatch a small armada to Earth, suggested the Zell representative. A demonstration of strength might clarify reality for them. Morkai waved a long-fingered hand dismissively. Unnecessary. Let them experience isolation for a while. Fear will accomplish our objectives. The Vex had governed the Council for millennia. During that span, countless new species had joined the galactic community. All eventually accepted Vex leadership, either willingly or through coercion. Only Tala, representing the Ardani, appeared troubled. The Ardani had joined merely 3 centuries earlier, recently by galactic standards. I've studied human history, she said, her voice gentle but clear. They demonstrate more adaptability than we might expect. The other council members turned toward her. Tala was young by their measures, her blue-gray flesh still smooth, her 4 eyes bright with intelligence. Explain, Morkai asked, more curious than concerned. Tala stood, activating a holographic display. It showed Earth's history of conflicts, technological leaps, and social transformations. Within 300 years, they progressed from animal-drawn transportation to spacecraft, she explained. Their entire timeline shows rapid adaptation to emerging threats. The Zell laughed, a hissing sound. Many civilizations develop rapidly, then plateau. Humans are no exception. Perhaps, Tala conceded. But I recommend caution. Cornered creatures are frequently the most dangerous. Morkai sighed. Your concern is acknowledged, Tala, but unwarranted. Humans will soon learn that galactic survival requires cooperation on our conditions. The meeting shifted to other topics. Nobody noticed when a junior officer quietly entered and delivered a report to Morkai's assistant. Later that day, in his private quarters, Morkai finally reviewed the report. It described unusual activity at human border colonies, increased mining operations, new construction, ships moving in patterns suggesting military drills. For a moment, Morkai felt a flicker of concern. Then he dismissed it. What could one young species possibly accomplish that the Council couldn't handle? He placed the report in his low-priority pile and forgot about it. Over the following months, similar reports arrived. All noted identical observations. Earth was busy, unusually busy, and strangely quiet in their communications with other races. Each time, Morkai and other Council leaders dismissed the reports. The Vex had ruled for 10,000 years. Humans had barely left their homeworld. There was no comparison. Let them play with their vessels and stations, Morkai told the Council when Tala raised concerns again. When resources dwindle or raiders attack their colonies, they'll come begging for help. What nobody on the Council grasped was that humans had zero intention of begging. In a classified facility deep beneath the moon's surface, Admiral Walker stood before Earth's United Nations leadership. The Council presented 3 options, he said, looking at the serious faces before him. Submit, perish, or become strong enough to command their respect. The President of the United Alliance nodded. Then our path is obvious. On screens throughout the room, plans appeared. New ship designs, weapon systems, defense networks. Many were based on fragments of Council technology the human delegation had managed to record during their brief visit. How much time do we have? Asked the Chinese representative. Walker's expression was grim. 6 months, perhaps a year, before they notice our activities. After that, we must be ready. Across human space, a quiet revolution was beginning. On Earth, in every colony, people worked with singular purpose. The Council had made a critical mistake. They had threatened humanity, then looked away. 6 months had elapsed since the humans departed. The Galactic Council had nearly forgotten them when the first report arrived. High Chancellor, we've lost contact with mining outpost K-12, a Vex officer reported. Morkai barely glanced up from his other duties. Equipment malfunction, most likely. Send a maintenance crew. 3 days later, the maintenance crew reached the outpost near the edge of human territory. What they discovered was perplexing. The outpost wasn't damaged. It was simply empty. All Vex workers had vanished along with key equipment and data cores. The team leader transmitted his report, which concluded with one strange note. Footprints discovered don't match any known Vex patterns. Before the Council could investigate further, 3 more outposts went silent. Then a research station, then a small colony. All showed identical patterns. No violence, just hasty evacuation and missing technology. In the Council chamber, the mood had shifted from dismissal to concern. This is no coincidence, Tala said, standing before the other representatives. These facilities are all within 2 jumps of human territory, the Zell representative hissed. Are you implying humans are responsible? They lack the technology to evade our sensors. Perhaps they didn't 6 months ago. Tala replied quietly. Morkai finally took the matter seriously when the Zell's largest trading station near human space went dark. 5,000 Zell and various other species gone. Enough, he declared. Send the 8th Fleet to the human border. Discover what's happening. Captain Lorix of the Vex military stood on the bridge of the largest warship in the 8th Fleet. 22 vessels moved through space behind him, a show of force that had made many species surrender on sight. "We're approaching the last known position of the trading station," his navigator reported. "Scan for debris or escape pods." Lorix ordered. "Sir," the sensor officer suddenly called out. "New contacts ahead!" Lorix moved to the view screen. What he saw made him freeze. A line of ships hung in space before them. Not council ships. Human ships. But these weren't the simple vessels humans had used before. These were massive, dark warships with sleek lines and glowing weapon ports. Behind them, half hidden in a moon's shadow, were orbital platforms bristling with what appeared to be defense systems. "How many?" Lorix asked quietly. 43 ships detected, sir, and 18 orbital platforms. More may be concealed." "Impossible," Lorix whispered. "Humans couldn't have constructed all this in 6 months. Unless they were building in secret long before they met us," he realized. "Sir, we're receiving an automated message from the human fleet." A simple text message appeared on screen. "This is United Earth Defense Force Border Patrol. You have entered restricted space. Maintain current position. Do not approach closer than 100,000 kilometers." Lorix's second-in-command, a young Vex named Prax, moved to his side. "They're bluffing," Prax said confidently. "Those ships probably look more impressive than they are. We should show them what real warships can do." Lorix studied the human formations carefully. Something about them seemed odd, familiar. "Those formations," he said slowly. "They're similar to our own battle patterns, but with variations I've never seen." "Sir, they've been studying us," Lorix realized, "watching how we fight." A chill ran down his spine. The Council had dismissed humans as primitive, but these ships told a different story. This wasn't a hastily assembled defense. This was a carefully prepared welcome. Lorix made his decision. "We hold position. No aggressive moves. But sir, our orders were to investigate, not start a war." Lorix cut him off. As the Council fleet maintained its position, more human ships emerged from behind planets and moons. They took positions in precise formations, their weapon ports glowing but not firing. The message was clear. "We are ready for you." Lorix opened a channel to High Chancellor Morkai. The Council needed to know. Humanity was no longer hiding. High Chancellor Morkai paced in the Council chamber, his long robe sweeping the floor. Captain Lorix's report had disturbed him deeply. "This is unacceptable," he finally announced. "Humans cannot be permitted to build a military presence of this magnitude without Council approval." The 12 senior Council members murmured in agreement. Only Tala remained silent. "I authorize a corrective action," Morkai declared. "Captain Lorix will demonstrate our power and remind the humans of their place in the galaxy." Back at the border, Lorix received his new orders with a heavy heart. 20 years of military service had taught him to recognize dangerous situations. This was one of them. "Sir, the humans have transmitted a message," his communications officer reported. "They say any hostile action will be met with equal force." Lorix nodded. "Send the response," the Council ordered. The message was simple. "By order of the Galactic Council, human forces must stand down and submit to inspection. Failure to comply will result in immediate action." The humans didn't respond. "Move the fleet forward," Lorix ordered reluctantly. "Target their lead ship with warning shots only." The massive Council warships advanced toward the human line. Weapon systems powered up, their energy signatures lighting up space. "Sir," the sensor officer called. "The human ships are changing." On the view screen, Lorix watched as the human vessels shifted position. Some seemed to shimmer and partially disappear from sensors. Others rotated to present different weapon arrays. "Fire warning shots," Lorix commanded. 2 kilometers from their flagship, energy beams lanced out from the Council ships. But something strange happened. The beams curved slightly before reaching their target, missing by much more than 2 kilometers. "What happened?" Lorix demanded. Before anyone could answer, the sensor officer shouted, "Energy spike from human vessels." Space lit up as the human ships opened fire, but not in the way anyone expected. Their weapons didn't fire normal blue-white energy beams of standard space weapons. These were different. Pulses of green light that seemed to phase in and out of normal space. The first shots hit a Council cruiser. Instead of impacting against its energy shields, they passed right through them like they weren't there. The ship's hull cracked open, venting atmosphere into space. "Impossible," Prax shouted. Nothing can bypass our shields. But the evidence was right in front of them. 3 more Council ships were hit, their shields useless against the strange human weapons. Return fire, Lorix ordered, knowing it might be too late. The Council fleet unleashed its full power. Energy beams and plasma torpedoes streaked toward the human line. But most missed their targets completely, as if the human ships weren't quite where they appeared to be. Those shots that did connect revealed another surprise. The human ships had energy shields, technology that should be far beyond their capabilities. Even more shocking, the shield seemed to adapt after each hit, becoming stronger against that specific weapon. They've been studying our technology, Lorix realized, not just copying it, improving it. 7 Council ships were crippled or destroyed in the first 3 minutes of battle. Not a single human vessel showed significant damage. Retreat, Lorix ordered, swallowing his pride. All ships full reverse. Get us out of range. As the Council fleet pulled back, the human ships did not pursue. They remained in their defensive line, weapons ready but no longer firing. In the Council chamber, stunned silence greeted Lorix's battle report. 7 capital ships lost without destroying a single human vessel. Morkai said slowly, "How is this possible?" The Zell representative finally asked, his voice no longer confident. Tala stood up, her 4 eyes looking at each Council member in turn. "I warned you," she said simply. "We underestimated them." Morkai's hands trembled slightly. For the first time in centuries, he felt something he had almost forgotten. Fear. 2 weeks after the failed attack, border skirmishes spread along human space. Most ended the same way, with Council ships retreating after taking heavy damage. In one battle, something unexpected happened. A human officer was captured when his small scout ship was disabled. The Council military brought him to a secure base for questioning. Lieutenant Tom Wilson sat calmly in the interrogation room. Unlike most captives, he showed no fear of his alien captors. "How did humans advance so quickly?" the Vex interrogator demanded. "Your technology is beyond what should be possible for your species." Wilson simply stared back, silent. After hours of questioning with no results, Tala requested permission to speak with the prisoner. Morkai agreed, desperate for answers. Tala entered the room alone and sat across from Wilson. "I am not here to threaten you," she said gently. "I truly want to understand." Wilson studied her for a long moment. Something about this 4-eyed alien seemed different from the others. "You really want to know?" he finally asked. "We never wanted war." "Then why prepare for one?" Tala asked. "Because you left us no choice," Wilson replied. When Admiral Walker returned from the peace talks, he brought back more than just rejection. He brought data. Wilson leaned forward. "Our scientists studied the Council station while we were there. We learned 2 important things." Tala waited, her 4 eyes fixed on him. "First, your technology isn't as advanced as you pretend. You've been using the same systems for centuries with little improvement." Wilson's eyes hardened. "Second, and more important, we discovered that the Vex and their closest allies have been holding back other species, keeping them dependent." Tala's breathing quickened. This was something many newer Council species had suspected but could never prove. "How?" she asked quietly. "By controlling access to key resources. By sabotaging independent research. By making newer members think they need Council protection when they don't." Wilson's words hung in the air between them. "We decided that if the Council wouldn't accept us as equals, we would have to protect ourselves," he continued. "But we didn't just build weapons. We reached out." "To whom?" Tala asked, though she already suspected the answer. "To other species like yours. Those who joined the Council recently. Those who are treated as second-class citizens." In the Council chamber, chaos erupted. Tala had shared Wilson's revelations, and several representatives of newer species were demanding answers. "Is it true?" the Ardani representative shouted at Morkai. "Have you been deliberately keeping us technologically dependent?" The Zell representative stood. "These are human lies. They're trying to divide us. Then explain why our scientific breakthroughs mysteriously fail whenever we research certain technologies," demanded the Norva representative, another newer species. As accusations flew, an aide rushed into the chamber. "Urgent report," he called over the noise. "We're receiving word of uprisings on multiple resource worlds." Morkai's face paled. "Which worlds?" "All of them, Chancellor. Across Council space, the newer species are revolting against Council authority, and they're using weapons. Human weapons. The chamber fell silent. The humans didn't just study our technology, Tala explained into the silence. They shared their innovations with those of us you've kept down for generations. They offered respect instead of dominance. Morkai slowly sat down, the weight of understanding finally hitting him. Humans hadn't been planning for war with the Council. They had been planning a revolution. In his private chambers later, Morkai reviewed reports of Council authority collapsing across multiple sectors. 6 species had already declared independence from Council rule, forming some kind of alliance with humans. A message from Admiral Walker appeared on his screen. You still have a chance for peace, but this time as equals. Morkai closed his eyes. The universe had changed forever. All because the Council had refused to treat one species with respect. 1 year had passed since humans walked away from the peace talks. The galaxy had changed more in that year than in the previous 1,000. Admiral James Walker stood outside the Council chamber, straightening his uniform. With him were representatives from 6 former Council species who now formed the coalition of independent systems alongside humanity. Are you ready, Admiral? Asked Tala, who had become Earth's strongest ally. Walker nodded. Let's hope they're ready to listen this time. The chamber doors opened. Inside, the room looked the same, but the mood was entirely different. Many seats stood empty. The Vex still led the Council, but their power had shrunk dramatically. High Chancellor Morkai watched as Walker and his allies entered. The human walked with confidence, not the uncertainty of his first visit. Admiral Walker, Morkai said, his voice lacking its former power. The Council welcomes you. Walker looked up at the remaining Council members. I notice your welcome sounds different this time. A few nervous laughs came from the coalition representatives. Much has changed, Morkai admitted. The Council is diminished. Indeed it was. The Vex-dominated Council had lost half its members to the new coalition. Their trade routes were disrupted. Their resource worlds were in revolt. Their military had suffered defeat after defeat. We are here to discuss terms for peaceful coexistence, Walker said, taking the center position where once he had stood as a supplicant. The coalition has prepared a proposal. A data package was transmitted to each Council member. As they viewed it, their expressions showed surprise. These terms are fair, said the Zell representative, sounding confused. Did you expect revenge? Walker asked. We don't want war. We never did. We just refuse to be treated as inferiors. Morkai studied the terms carefully. Trade agreements, mutual defense pacts, technology exchange programs. All based on equality, not dominance. Why offer peace now? Morkai asked. You have the advantage. You could demand much more. Walker looked directly at him. Because that's not who we are. Humans have spent too much of our history fighting. We've learned something important. True strength isn't about conquering others. It's about lifting everyone up. The chamber was silent as his words sank in. We've changed too, Tala added. Those of us who joined the coalition found something we never had in the Council. Respect. We work together as equals, and we've advanced more in 1 year than in centuries under your rule. Negotiations continued for hours. When they finished, both sides had agreed to basic terms. A new galactic order was taking shape, one based on cooperation instead of control. As the meeting ended, Morkai asked to speak with Walker privately. In a small room off the main chamber, the ancient Vex looked at the human with new eyes. I must know, he said quietly. How did humans advance so quickly? How did you unite so many species against us? Walker smiled slightly. The answer to both questions is the same. For most of our history, humans fought each other. We were divided by borders, languages, beliefs. We nearly destroyed ourselves multiple times. His eyes met Morkai's. When you threatened us, you gave us something rare. Unity of purpose. All humans working together instead of against each other. And when we reached out to other species with respect instead of demands, they joined us willingly. Morkai nodded slowly, finally understanding. We mistook your desire for peace as weakness, he admitted. A common mistake, Walker said. Peace isn't the choice of the weak. It's the wise choice of the strong. As Walker left to rejoin his team, he looked back at the Council chamber. The peace that would grow from today wouldn't be perfect. There would be challenges ahead, but for the first time, humans and aliens would face them as equals, all because one delegation had the courage to walk away from bad terms and the wisdom to return with better ones.